Welcome to viewers on BBC One. We have had news from Buckingham Palace that the Queen is under medical supervision at Balmoral. The doctors had become concerned for her health, and she is now being under the supervision of doctors at Balmoral. It is understood that she is comfortable and that immediate family members have been informed, with, of course, that news that she's under medical supervision raising concerns for her health.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah,
Oh, it's crazy.
it is. It is. Excuse me. I had told my husband I had actually had a dream the night the Queen died, that she died. And then I woke up that morning and saw the news. So, because I just interviewed you, I wanted to get your reaction to, of course, put on with the interview.
Yeah, so I think that we all mentally prepared ourselves for it, especially after the death of the Duke of Edinburgh. Um, but I think emotionally, you're never really prepared. So it was hard. Like I knew it was coming, but it was hard. And it was hard for me in particular because I had an interview that day, and I remember, like, calling my husband and saying, like, "I don't know if I can go, like, there's so much stuff going on," and he was like, "No, like, go, like, you really want this, so go," and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, I checked it right before I went in, and everything was still the same. Went in, did the interview. As we were walking out, I was switching my phone back to take off the Do Not Disturb, and as soon as I did it, I got the alert. And I just had to take a deep breath, and I was like, "You have to hold it together until you get out the doors, and then you can." So I thanked them, I shook their hand, I held it, I walked out the doors and just cried. Like, I called my husband and I was like, "She died," and he was like, "Okay, take a breath." Um, he's like, "Go to the car and just sit there for a minute, please don't drive." So I did that, and, it's sad, it's truly the end of an era, and I think a lot of royal commentators have constantly repeated this. There are so many people who don't know anything other than her.
Right.
So I think that is, I'm just gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb because it's going off like crazy. Um, so I think that everyone is really excited for the reign of King Charles III, but it's bittersweet because we had to lose her to get to him,
Right.
and my heart breaks for him at this point because there's no he doesn't have a moment to privately grieve. He immediately has to get to work, and I've lost my mom, so I know how important it is to take that time to absorb it all, and he's not really granted that. And I understand the duty of the position that he has now assumed, and I know that he understands that, but I think from a mental health perspective, I just can't see how healthy that is for him.
I believe that at one point he had mentioned that this is the only job that you have. where you are waiting for your parent to die before you actually get the position, and how difficult that is to
Yeah.
actually, wait for your mother to die in order to get your job. And I can only imagine how heartbreaking that is for him, particularly since I believe he's what, 74,
Yeah, I think he's 75 now.
75. Yes. Um, and so he's been the longest waiting.
Yeah, Prince of Wales in history, yeah.
Yes,
So, I mean, I'm excited to see what he does. I
right,
think that his first speech, I think he said a lot in such a short period of time.
right, right.
Um,
Uh,
I think that we all knew that William and Catherine would become the Prince and Princess of Wales. I think we knew that that was gonna happen. I don't think I expected it that soon, um, but I'm super excited for that. But I also noticed how he mentioned Harry and Meghan, but it was in the way he mentioned them. They are much loved members of the family who are building a life overseas. And no titles. He did not mention titles when he was speaking of them. So, and he was bestowing titles, and he didn't. So I think he said a lot without using like a lot of words. So I think we know where he stands.
and a lot of people thought that he was going to be softer towards
Mhm.
them than the Queen was.
I don't think so. And the reason I
Okay,
don't is because he has spoken for many, many years about slimming down the monarchy. And I don't think that Harry and Meghan were a part of that. I think he always intended to keep them in the core group because Harry is his son. And I don't think he ever intended. I think he was intending on the Duke of Gloucester, the Duke of Kent, Princess Eugenie, Princess um, Beatrice. I think he was more referring to them. I think that obviously Andrew is no longer going to have public life. I mean, he did that to himself.
right.
I think it would be foolish of him to sideline Princess Anne and
Oh,
Prince
yes,
Edward because they do so much. And I hope that he gives the Duke of Edinburgh title to his brother. Um, but I think now when he talks about a slimmed down monarchy, he is talking about himself, his wife, William and Catherine, and Anne and Edward, and I think that's it.
right.
I don't think it's gonna extend any further, and I personally don't foresee him giving titles to Archie or Lily because their parents have stepped down.
Right.
I think I think if they would have remained senior royals, he would have offered it to them, but because Harry and Meghan made the decision to not, I think that he's gonna withhold that title.
Yes, and they're in California.
Yeah,
Why would you give titles to someone who has stepped down and who
yeah.
has moved away and they aren't working royals? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that Charles is going to be harder on them than the Queen was, and but we also have to remember that she was 95 when all of this started,
Right,
and she shouldn't have been dealing with it anyway.
right.
My concern now comes that the Queen is gone.
Yes,
What are they gonna do and say now? because I think that the reason that Harry's book has continuously been pushed and pushed was he was waiting for this.
Right. Yes. I do believe that they're going to start causing even more trouble now.
Yeah, and I'm I don't know if anyone's, like, thought of it yet, but the coronation, they wear tiaras to coronations. It's gonna be the second time, and you know she's gonna show up because that girl would show up to the opening of an envelope. Um, so you know she's coming to that.
Of course, that's an invite. I mean, she would have to be invited to it.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sure that they would. I think that they wouldn't want the backlash of not inviting them.
right. But they don't have
It's
to give her a tiara.
true, because they could say it's only working royals who are gonna get them.
Right.
And then I can't wait to see the stories that she didn't get a tiara because she had too much melanin in her skin. I don't know. I'll wait for that one. Um, but I'm curious how that's going to play out with them too, because and I'm also curious because I mean I think we all remember when Prince Philip passed away and she did not attend the funeral, and I can understand why she didn't attend the funeral. I think every mother can sympathize with why she did not attend. It's not safe, and it that was
Yes.
very true. But I do believe she will attend this one because she is not pregnant. Um, but I think we all remember that during Prince Philip's funeral, she was leaking information about the flowers and the notes, and I can only imagine what is
Yes.
going to transpire during these next 10 to 17 days.
Right. Right. And I believe that's why she wasn't in Scotland. Bless her.
Um, I don't think so.
You don't?
No, because Catherine didn't go, um, Tim Lawrence didn't go.
Right.
So there were other spouses who did not go. Um, it might have just been a protocol thing. I know that Catherine, partially didn't go because it was the first day of school for George and Charlotte and Louis. Um, so I think that it was just family. And I know everyone's gonna say, "Well, Camilla's there." Well, she's the future queen consort,
Right.
and, um, Sophie was there. Sophie has known the queen far longer than both Meghan and Catherine,
Right.
and she's a very beloved daughter-in-law. So I mean, I think it was best that she didn't go because no other spouses were there besides, Camilla and Sophie. I don't think it would have been like, "Oh, because there wasn't gonna be a warm reception." I just think that it was immediate family only.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe she was like, "Okay, you go to Scotland and I'm gonna go to London and I'm gonna arrange for the children. Now we're gonna stay because we have all this stuff that we have to do and like go to the funeral. I'm gonna go back to London. I'm gonna go to the hotel. I'm gonna make arrangements for the children now to be brought over because who knows, maybe she doesn't want to be away from her children for that long and now she wants to make arrangements for them and the nanny or her mother to fly over with the children. We can't be flip-flopping, like, it's okay that Catherine didn't go because of the children, but not Megan. We can't do that. It has
Right.
to go they've gotta run parallel.
Yes.
So, we'll never really know the true reason why she didn't go. We'll all speculate, everyone will speculate, um, but she wouldn't have made it anyway
Right.
because Harry didn't make it. Why it took him 6 hours to get there is beyond me. There are rumors coming out as to why that was. Again, they're just rumors. There's rumors that him and Megan got into a bit of an argument because she wanted the Netflix cameras to go with him, and I'm sure Harry probably was like, "Are you mad?" Um,
Yes.
because I think that there is still like a sliver of respect, and it was only for barely for his grandmother. But again, those are rumors, and we don't know
Right.
because we all have to kind of remember that both Harry and William lost their mother at very young ages, and the Queen stepped in,
Right.
and she became the motherly figure in their life. She became the woman of their life, and now she's gone. So we don't know if that was just a lot for Harry to handle, and he kind of needed to collect himself before he could go.
Yes.
There's so many moving parts here that we just don't know, and we can all speculate. And a lot of people were upset that Harry was going, and at the end of the day, that was her grandson, and she loved him,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm sure she wanted him there, and she wanted to be able to see him one last time, and she wanted to be able to tell him, whatever she needed to tell him. That's not for us to decide.
Yes. And the other thing that I noticed was that it was at Balmoral where they also learned that their mother had died.
Yeah.
And so that had to be hard as well because now they're going back
Mhm.
and now they're reliving, well, this is where I
Yeah.
learned my mother had died. Now this is where I'm learning my grandmother had died and I'm going back.
Yeah. And I can imagine that that was hard for all of them,
Right.
for both of them going through that. And I think that we all need to kind of have just a little bit of sensitivity. And I'm not saying that the feelings that a lot of us have are not valid. I think my point comes in is where it's like there's a time and a place. And right now is not the time to focus on Harry and Meghan or Harry or what they are and are not doing. Right now is the time to focus on King Charles and supporting the new reign and the new monarch and supporting the new Prince and Princess of Wales and, paying tribute to Her Majesty. Leave that out.
Right.
Focus
Right.
on the amazing work that she has done and what she has done for women.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's where we need to like put our focus. I think that, I know that on my Twitter page and the communications that I've had, I have said like I'm not doing this. I'm not talking about them. This is so much bigger than them. Yes, they did what they did. They have to live with that for the rest of their lives. They don't have that opportunity to make amends with her anymore. They lost that. That's their burden to bear, not ours.
Right. And I had actually released a short YouTube video yesterday because when I lost my grandmother, I was extremely close to her.
Mhm.
And she looks very much like the Queen. And I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her.
Yeah.
And she basically raised me, very
Mhm.
similar parallels. And I said that I had felt so bad for Prince Harry that he was unable to say goodbye to her, to get up there as quickly as he could. Um,
Mhm. But he wasn't
but
the only one.
yes, yes,
William didn't get the chance. Edward, Andrew, Sophie, they did not get the chance. She passed, I believe Charles and Anne were with her because they were
right,
already there.
right. But he had had time. He
Yes.
could have gone up there, you know, uh, at any time and spent, he didn't have to bring his family,
Mhm.
spent the day with her and just, whatever.
Well, the
Um,
invitation was extended. The invitation was
yeah,
extended, but it was declined.
right,
And, you know, they can only do so much.
right,
They cannot go to California and kidnap them and
right.
force them to they all that they can do is extend those invitations. The ball is in Harry and Meghan's court. I think because I had this conversation with someone yesterday, it was a friend of mine, and she has been kind of watching it, but isn't quite sure. And I said, something obviously happened. And there's three sides to every story. Yours, theirs, and in the middle is the truth. Something happened. I think that what happened was miscommunication, misunderstanding of the role in which you were given.
Yes.
And I think that that falls to Harry. I think that she came in with this vision and he did not properly explain to her that you will always fall behind my father, his wife, my brother, and his wife. I think that that's kind of what happened. I don't think the whole race thing came into play. I think that that was used because of the, um, temperature of the society right now, but we all must remember that at the end of the day, this is a real, actual family,
Yes.
and there's so many things happening that we don't know about.
Oh, yes. Yes. Um, yeah, I made a comment, all of a sudden, I'm racist.
Mhm,
I woke up to that today. Uh,
mhm.
and I'm like, "Oh, great. This isn't even gonna be worth Twitter today."
Yeah,
Um, yeah, probably from here on out for the next month or so, Twitter's not gonna be worth it.
I
Um,
just ignore it. I
I
let them say it. You wanna say it, that's fine. Y
like,
they don't define me. I because I've heard it and I laugh. I'm like, "I'd love to know how that happens. Like, how can that be?" Um, but I just people are cruel.
I I just went, "How? I how did you get racist out of those 3 words that I just said?"
As if they
And
yeah,
and, and I'm so totally not, and
mhm,
anyone who knows me knows that I'm not,
mhm.
and I'm like, "Just just go, just get on with your life, just
Yeah,
get through this. They made their life there. Let's get on with, like you said, King Charles' reign." I thought it was very interesting that he decided to say King Charles because the only other two King Charles we had were King Charles, and they happened to be of Scotland and of Ireland, and of Wales, as in saying, um, because Scotland has talked about breaking away after the Queen had passed.
yeah,
And so I found that very interesting. That, by saying that, I think he's trying to say, I'm including everyone, the,
mhm,
the whole entire island in this. We're all in this together.
mhm.
Um, we're one big family. Um, but yes, I think it's going to be extremely hard for everybody in the next few weeks. But
Yeah. I'm really upset because I'm not gonna be able to watch the funeral live. I have to work.